pretty good. Not bad.
Not bad, not bad.
Go bad at all.
Not bad for an old car.
No. Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. We're back to muscle cars again, and the GTX, one of the legendary ones. This is a 1971, which is not the model you think of when you think of a GTS. You tend to think of the 68, 69 models, you know, the traditional ones. These are fairly rare. That's why I thought it was kind of interesting to see what it's like and drive. Let's meet the owner, Dan Hallisey. Dan, how are you? Good to see you again.
Morning, Jay. Pleasure to meet you again.
We should remind people, you're on our CNBC show. You had the Rebel, right?
Yeah,
the Rebel.
1970 AMC Rebel machine.
Yeah, I love that. It was a great car.
That was a great car.
That's one of the rarest ones because it was a pretty inexpensive car when it came out. And people just drove them into the ground.
Absolutely, and you know, it's still a beautiful car.
Oh, it's a wonderful car. Well, this is a beautiful car too, and it's not one we see very often. We tend to think of the other body style. And this is sort of the end of the line for the GTX, wasn't it?
Yeah, 71 was the last year of production.
Right.
Then 72, I think you could go ahead and you could order the GTX option if you wanted to.
But it wasn't a standalone.
No.
Okay.
Last year of the standalone, 68, 69, 70, 71.
So tell us about this car. Is this the original color? The grabber orange, how they call it?
So this car is original engine, numbers matching. It's a 440. It's an air conditioning car. And a lot of the Mopar guys will see the air grabber hood.
Right.
The air grabber hood we put on as an extra, so we had to take out the original factory air conditioning.
Oh, okay.
And we put the serpentine system. So this is the only GTX I know of that has an air grabber hood and air conditioning.
So now what, the air grabber hood wouldn't fit with the traditional?
No, the old traditional Chrysler air conditioning was there up on top, if you remember, and it wouldn't fit with the air grabber.
And the wing on the back, did it come with the car?
Yes, it came with the car.
Okay.
So the car's got the original Magnum 500s with the 14-inch tires, original interior. Everything's all original to the car.
Now, was this 375 horse? Is that what it was?
Yeah, probably 375 horse in 71.
Or
last
did they
year.
drop the, I guess after 71?
72, I think, is when they really started dropping the horsepower.
Right, because of the emissions
Yes.
and everything else. So this is the last of the old school.
Last of the big block 440s.
And the 440 was a great motor. I've got a number of cars. I've got a Monteverdi. I've got a Chrysler Imperial. Yeah, it's a terrific.
It is a great engine.
A lot of people liked it better than the Hemi for street use.
Oh, absolutely. It had more bottom end torque than the Hemi did off the line.
How long have you had it?
I have had the car for probably 5 years now. I bought it at Mecum in Los Angeles about 5 years ago. It got a really good price on it. We finished restoring it back to original, getting the air conditioning to work, all the gauges, all the interior, everything has been completely redone in the car inside now.
Was it a California car?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it looks nice.
Yeah, we didn't find any Bondo. We didn't find any rust underneath it. It really runs and drives great, as you will
Is
soon
it
find out.
all original paint, or did you have to do some paint work
We
to
did
it?
some touch-up work on it, yes.
Okay. And these are big cars.
Oh, yeah.
It's a full-size automobile.
By the way, later when you go for the ride, I recommend hitting the air grabber, and that little hood will pop up back in the day.
Yeah, that's really funny. Let's take a look under the hood.
Okay.
Do you remember what the original list price for this car was?
I would say, Jay, it's probably right around $2,800 to $3,200. The GTX was the car for the businessman, right? You'd have the Roadrunner, which would have radio delete, no air conditioning, anything. This was the businessman's car.
Right, that's funny. Wow, that's pretty, wow.
The businessman's hot rod.
Okay, that's just, wow, nice and clean underneath. And this air grabber hood you operated from inside the vehicle, right?
Yeah, it works off of a vacuum canister.
Right.
And it opens and closes on a switch. And then if you look here, this is a new serpentine system that we installed to have the air conditioning work.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, does this work off the throttle pedal, the air grabber hood, when you hit it to the floor, or do you have a separate switch?
No, you just hit the switch and it would just open up and allow fresh air to come into the engine when you were racing those Camaros and Mustangs in the day.
Now, so it's vacuum operated.
Yeah, it's vacuum operated. So we have a canister
I
here.
see. That's hilarious.
Canister, yeah.
Very funny. Very funny.
If you remember, the The Rebel machine that I brought also had the, as you called it, I think a pizza box.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It did look like a pizza box
Yeah.
sitting on the top there. And of course, you got the Coyote, the famous.
Coyote Duster, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's very funny.
And like I said, it's all original. It's got the, I left the factory refrigerant lines in and everything. I just converted it over to the new system.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. All right. And no headers, all stock?
No, all
Yeah.
factory.
No, that's great.
Yes.
What does it have? Discs in front, right?
Yeah, disc in front, drums in the back.
Drums in the back,
Yep.
okay.
Good metal.
And these were not light cars, were they?
No, no. This car is probably somewhere around 4,500 pounds.
Is
I
it
would
that
say.
much?
Yeah.
And it has my favorite thing, it always makes me laugh, the pistol grip.
Oh yeah, the pistol grip shifter. The nice thing about this car is it's long. It's like an aircraft carrier. When you drive it down the road,
Yeah.
you got a long hood. You got to get used to that
Yeah.
long hood.
Well, I recognize these seats, yeah. The
Yeah.
same seats as my Challenger.
Yes, your Challenger is very beautiful,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. What rear end is in it, do you know?
It's got a positive traction,
Right.
355s.
He's always had massive trunks. Can we
Yes.
open that? Let's
Sure.
take a look.
Yeah, let me grab the key.
I mean, this is a wide car.
I consider it an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, yeah, well, it is.
This I call is a drive-in trunk, right, Jay? When you could,
Right.
here we go.
That's a hilarious trunk. How much room you have in
You
there?
could definitely put 3
Oh,
or 4
yeah.
suitcases in there.
Yeah, or people. Is that the original one?
No.
No. Oh, no, it's not even, no.
Yeah, not the original spare, but it's got the original jack. It's got the original carpet kit that would come down.
Right.
Everything's been completely original, down to the original spray Zion, I think back in the day from the factory for taking out some of the noise, right?
So you have a different tire than what you have on here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Looks like a smaller tire, but I guess it isn't. It's the same
Yeah.
size. These are just so funny to me.
Massive car.
Very cool. Does it feel fast, or does it feel period fast? You know what I mean?
It's period fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because you have something like this massive engine, and you come to a stoplight and you get your doors blown off by a GTI
Oh
or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
I have a 2016 Challenger,
Right.
A Scat Pack with the shaker hood.
Oh, sure, sure.
That thing definitely flies. Probably like I
Yeah.
saw you had a Hellcat.
Right, right.
But back in the day, this was the way to go, and this
Yeah.
was the horsepower.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way back down to the machine gun looking exhaust system and all the period correct decals and
And
everything.
Chrysler always liked building full-size cars. They really didn't have an intermediate body. I guess the Cuda.
Yeah,
was-
E-body,
the
CUDA, or
E-Body.
Challenger.
But they didn't build a, like the smaller GTO or Ford Fairlane type body. They always went with a full-size car.
Yeah, this is a B-body. So back
Yeah.
in the day, B-body would be all your bigger race cars that people would race.
And must be the rarest of the GTXs because you just don't see this body style that often. I go to a lot of the Mopar meets and stuff, and it's always 68, 69,
70, correct,
yeah. I mean, it's so rare. Was this the lowest production year for these? Do you know?
This was the lowest production
Yeah.
year for GTX, and the nice thing about it is, in '71, this was a new body style.
Right.
Some people don't like the front end of it.
Yeah.
I love the front end.
Yeah. Well, also, the insurance industry was just decimating the muscle car market. The brakes weren't that good. They didn't handle. There were so many accidents and so many crashes that it cost so much to insure one of these, especially if you were under 25. Oh
Yes.
my God, it was like the price of the car,
Yeah.
to insure. So consequently, it sort of drove the market away.
Yeah. Well, probably the gas prices too back in the day, because
Yeah,
this
that's
probably
true.
gets 8 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, and gas was soaring too. I remember we used to go into Boston, we used to get furious. There was one guy that charged 50 cents a gallon right here, pal.
Yeah.
And he was open 24 hours. The idea was, you're late at night, you need gas. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
gotta
gonna
get some
yeah,
gas.
Instead of the 27.5, it was 50 cents. Crazy. Very cool. Let's take a look at the interior.
Sure, absolutely.
Now that console in there, I'm laughing because it's the same one they have in my Dodge Challenger.
Correct.
And Chrysler build quality at this time was somewhat suspect.
Yes.
My favorite thing was they're just like 2 sheet metal screws.
Yeah, a couple
At each end
screws.
that hold it in.
Yes.
And one day it was loose. I said, well, let me tighten this up. And then I realized it just came right. I just lifted it. It came right up.
Yeah.
Had 2 sheet metal screws. That's all it was.
Well,
Yeah.
back in the day, especially if you had a car that would go fast, you'd probably vibrate them loose.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it does. The whole thing sort of moves. Now tell me about these badges.
Okay, yeah, so these badges, when we were restoring the car, I went ahead and bought the interior. I think it was Legendary is the one who makes the car interior.
Oh, yeah.
So I bought all Legendary, and I bought the new door panels and everything, but the little medallions,
Right.
impossible to find. I ended up finding a new set online. It cost me $300 for 2 medallions, but I restore cars when I do them back to factory correct.
Now, what happened to you? I guess they just fall off.
Yeah, they would just fall off and weather away.
And of course, this didn't have the electric windows or any of that.
No.
Was it an option on the GTX?
Yeah, I think you could have probably got power windows back in the day. This has power steering and power brakes factory. And then if you look down here, Jay, here's your little air grabber switch where you flip that sucker to open when you pull up next to that Camaro and you get yourself a little extra horsepower for some fresh air.
Yeah, that's very funny. Now, you had a friend help you with this car. You brought him today.
So I brought Vince Vanni today.
Yeah.
Vince is my auto shop teacher from high school.
Oh, okay.
So Vince and I reconnected about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And we started building cars together. So at this point, you know, he was a Mopar guy back in his day, so now I'm a Mopar guy. So
he got you into it.
Yeah.
Vince, come on in. Nice to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you.
So how was it? Was he a good student? Did he have the ability but did not apply himself? I mean, what was the
You want the truth?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you had these kids in class that you would call squirrels. They're the guys that go out in the driveway or leave class burning rubber all the way up.
I was a squirrel.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
okay, but no, overall, he was a good student in the sense that he applied himself.
Right.
And that's, you know, you're around people all the time, and you know that some people, young people especially, do not apply themselves. And
Well, you must get very frustrated because when I was at school, shop class was a real class. And then it just slowly got down to after-school activities. And now it doesn't even exist in most schools.
correct.
Yeah.
My class was an ROP class, Regional Occupational Program for the state of California. That means that I had juniors, seniors, and adults, and my classes were 3 hours long. So we accomplished something rather than just put a kid in a stool there, you know, and you're going to be there 55 minutes and so long. So they actually got to pull engines, build cars, and, you know, with my help.
Also learn a trade. I mean,
absolutely.
Because near the end, it was just sort of a place where you put the dumb kids.
The guys that
I know from experience.
the guys that didn't have enough credits to graduate, put them in Vanni shop class.
Right, yeah.
I was one of them.
Oh, is that right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, but they accomplished something. They accomplished the task.
Right.
And that was the main focus of the whole thing.
Now, a lot of your students got on to open transmission shops and their own businesses and things like that?
Well, guys, this is a big success story right here, but he's not automotive, he's air conditioning. But I've had guys do transmission shops. I have several guys. Matter of fact, we just had a big 80th birthday for me.
Wow.
And I had I would say probably 18 students showed up, and they're all in their 40s and 50s, you know, guys you don't recognize anymore. So, and they're all successful in that business, but not everybody took that line.
No, but just the fact that you see some
They
kids
got
that were
going.
going nowhere.
Exactly.
No, I think that's great. I'm a huge believer in the vocational arts. You know, we have a number of scholarships through McPherson College.
I know
where
you
kids
do.
graduate
Right.
and they get a 4-year degree in automobile restoration and they go to work in all the different shops and stuff.
The other thing is that some of the schools, like trade schools now, to make a living, you're into computers and electronics.
Right.
But by looking at your collection and so on, there still has to be a need out there for somebody that knows how to rebuild a carburetor.
It's almost like guys that restore old paintings now. I mean,
Correct.
so many of the cars become so valuable that a lot of these guys make 125 bucks an hour because they're restoring, you know, Duesenbergs and Bugattis and even, you know, American classics, you know, like the muscle cars have gotten up there. So it's good to see that there's getting a value to it. I mean, I have friends that make really good money working at various classic centers, Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, all of those.
Right.
Because GM has their Heritage Center and Chrysler has theirs as well. So we're going to go for a ride. Now you want Vince to ride with me today, huh?
You know what? I think it would be awesome for Vince to go for a ride
Well,
with
I'd
you.
be honored to have him because he knows more about the car than you do.
Absolutely.
Right?
You
That's
want to
I
know
mean, so-
anything about it, he'll tell you.
That's right. Ask the man who taught the guy who owns the car. Come on, let's go for a spin.
All right,
You
let's
got
go.
it.
Dan, we'll see you later.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Have a good
Okay.
one.
Hop in. Can always tell a Chrysler starting order. Starts right up.
Sure can tell it's cold. Got to make you feel good to drive this drive.
And as a teacher, do you find that almost everything you know about old cars is not applicable at all to modern cars?
There are some things that, I mean, you know, you've got differentials, you've still got,
Right.
you know, you've got the basics.
But now it's sort of more replace than repair, wouldn't you say?
That's all they do. I was talking to kids that are going to UTI or junior college or something.
Yeah.
They don't get involved in this, and that's unfortunate because the demand is there. You know that.
You know, I had a friend of mine, she had a Jaguar,
Right.
and it wasn't shifting. She
Right.
had about 50,000 miles on it. She went to, and the dealer said, oh no, you need a new transmission. And I said, so when was the last time you had it flushed or the screen cleaned? She's
Right.
like, I never had. I said, well, do that. She goes, well, no, they said I need transmission. I said, go to the transmission shop. Just flush it and clean the screen. And
Right,
see it block
right,
it. They flushed it. They charged her, whatever, $120 or something. She's like a brand new car. I go, well, yeah. I mean, the dealer just told her she needed a new transmission.
It's replaced. It's
Yeah,
replaced. You know, Dan has one of the salesmen drives a company car. What is it? The Chevy Cruze or something. Yeah, I think
Right.
it's a Cruze. Well, it's got a sealed transmission.
Right.
The salesman comes back and says the transmission's not working, and there's fluid all over the floor. So Dan ships it off to the garage, and oh, you need a new transmission.
Yeah.
Well, what happened is that the plastic water reservoir cracked, and you know the fluid in there now is pink.
Right.
Oh, it's transmission fluid. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, but they were ready to sell him a transmission,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunately that it's a lot worse than it was. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You used to have the guys that pulled, you know, oh, your shocks are leaking, and they squirt a little oil on it. and
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, maybe
and
put it up with a lift, squirt it on the floor. Yeah.
Right. You know, so, you know, but now because of the technology, it's gotten really bad as far as people are replacing things. People are not fixing anything.
That's why I like that McPherson College, because they teach kids about magnetos and points and
Yeah.
condensers and ignition and
Right.
you know, all the sort of the basics. So what do you drive? You got any old cars?
No, I just sold.
Oh, come on.
Well, here's the thing. I got to drive these cars to
Right.
keep them moving, just
Right.
like you move yours. The last one I had was a 70 Challenger that was in a video game called Drive San Francisco, and they built this Challenger
Right.
for SEMA and had a TV in the trunk. Well, when they sold it, of course, they stripped it.
Right.
I bought it and got it going. But my thing is getting it done. Other people's thing is driving it.
Right, right.
I enjoy putting it together
Right, right.
and seeing now this is done. You know, I'm through with it. I don't
Right.
want to mess with it anymore. Driving is okay, you know. And Dan sometimes gets a little bit where, like he was telling you that he bought the 16 Challenger Super Beat.
Right,
It's a 6-speed car.
right.
He's not comfortable doing that shifting. You know, he's a lot younger than we are.
Right.
Okay, I grew up with a stick.
Right.
And both my daughters, you know, who are 48 and 50, they both know how to drive a stick. His daughter doesn't know how to drive a stick. And I told her, Megan, I'd be happy to teach you how to drive. You need to know that
It's
kind
the
of
best
stuff.
anti-theft device you can get.
Got it.
Carjackers get in there and know what to do.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You know, back in the day, people would steal the car to steal the 4-speed out of it.
Right,
you know.
right.
I worked at a Chevy dealer. We would come in the morning, and here's this car sitting there, and the trance is gone. The salesman goes out there and says, "Hey, where's the trance? Working on it." Well, it's gone. But nowadays, even that part, now they'll just take the whole car.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a different world, you know, but I enjoy it. And after I retired, and I get with Dan only because I enjoy doing it.
Well, the interesting thing is when you drive cars from this era, and I've always said this on the show, you're at the halfway point in development of the automobile. This
Yes.
is the midway point, you know?
I agree.
I mean, 50
Absolutely.
years before this, there was nothing.
Nothing.
And 50 years, you know. And
Yeah.
I always say the car has changed more from 2000 to now than it did from 1900 to 2000.
Absolutely, yes.
Because everything is electronic. And
Yeah, now it's a spaceship. You know, when they made the Ford retractable top, that had more solenoids than the first spaceship.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But
Well, I've got a 66 Lincoln in there.
Oh,
and it's
do-
got that neat that
Yeah,
walk like an
right,
Egyptian top,
right,
which does all this.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hilarious. But it all works.
it all works, yeah. But how many people do you know that can fix it?
I know one guy, and
Yeah.
that's his job.
See?
You remember the book Fahrenheit 451, where
Yes.
they burn all the books?
Yes.
And everybody memorizes one book. Well, that's what you have now. You have mechanics that just do
Right.
Emmys.
Right.
And you got guys that just do the McLaren F1.
Yes.
They travel the world and they work on that car, and that's
Yeah.
all they do. And that seems to be the way it's going now. You have people that specialize in one particular, because the models are so complex now, you can focus your whole life on that. I mean, Ford has a guy that just travels the country and does Ford GTs. He's the Ford GT guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, that has to do with money. I mean, you know, the guy that specializes
Right.
is obviously going to make more than the mom and pop shop that,
right.
you know, and there's still a few of those guys around, you know. Yeah.
Actually, this thing goes pretty good. Not bad.
Not bad, you know.
Well, this is what these are called road hugging weight. Remember those days?
That's it.
So you a bit of a hellraiser as a kid with the cars?
Oh, yeah.
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 What was your first car?
I want to say...
Or maybe it was a horse and wagon. I don't know.
No,
Not that old.
Not that old. I'm
No.
pretty old though. But I want to say it was a 41 Ford Coupe
Yeah.
that I bought, I think, for like 35 bucks.
All right.
It was my dream car. I mean, that 35 bucks was a lot of money
Right.
back in the day, you know. Growing up with single parent and stuff, you know, you get a little crazy.
Yeah.
You do some stupid stuff, you know, and you learn a lot when you try to put diesel fuel in it and try to drive it, you know. You know. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I probably relate so well with the kids. You know, Dan blew me away with this 80th birthday party. So he tells me, he says, you know, we're going to raise some money for VFW. And I said, oh, cool, you know, I'm for it.
Right.
And so we're going to go to a car show, and we're going to take the Cuda and the Roadrunner, and his daughter's going to go, and all of this. And I thought, oh, how cool, that's nice, you know, I'll do it. Well, I wasn't expecting anything, because the night before, this was on a Saturday, the night before on a Friday, we all went with the family, we all went to the Honda Center to watch a circus event, you know.
Right.
And he was there with his girlfriend, and I thought, wow, you know, he bought the tickets, and I thought, this is my birthday, and I thought, how
Right.
cool is that?
Yeah.
When we get to the VFW, I'm driving the lead car, and I go around the corner, and here's my daughters and other people standing in the middle of the road with this giant banner, and it says 80th birthday bash, and I was just flabbergasted.
Oh, that's great.
And then the people that showed up, you know, the students especially, some of the things that they wrote on there brings tears to your eyes, you know, because as you get older, you don't realize what effect you have on somebody.
Sure.
You know, you see a lot of people, you deal with a lot of people, and you don't realize
I had great
it.
teachers. I stayed friends with most of my high school teachers.
Do you?
Oh yeah. I came from a small town, and it was a time when teachers, that was a profession. Now it's something people do on the way to something else.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I was a kid, it was a real profession.
Yeah.
And Mr. Robichaud wore the same suit for probably 25 years with the chalk marks on it, you know.
Oh, cool.
The whole day. He was in the same home room when I was 18, and was there for the 30th anniversary. He was still in the same home room 30 years later, so.
See?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, let's open that air grabber hood. Let's see what happens. Maybe it needs a little bag. Or there we go.
Yeah, you probably, we don't have a whole lot of vacuum.
Oh, look at all the extra power you get with the air grabber hood. Look at that. Oh, look at that. That doesn't go bad at all.
Not bad for an old car.
No. Feels like more than 375 horsepower, but these were torquey motors.
Oh yeah, and you know, they're indestructible.
Were you always a Chrysler man?
No. How I got going at school, I was trying to get something going for the kids. And you know, you gotta have something that's different, and you gotta have something that moves. You know, there's no substitute for cubic inches.
Right.
So you could take a 440, put it in a body, a dart, and there you go.
Right.
You know? I mean, I could go to a junkyard back then, not now, and get a 440 that's relatively in good shape, put it in, don't do anything else to it, and, you know, weight per cubic inch, we're already way up there, and these kids just loved it. They came back, and that was the whole idea, was to get them to come back to class.
So what do you think? Should I put my foot in it?
Sure. I
See what she does.
Oh, me. Good, that's better.
Doesn't go bad.
I like that.
Now this is not stock, right? This pistol grip.
Yes,
I know they
everything.
made a pistol grip, but this trigger is interesting.
No, the trigger is not stock. That's aftermarket. But the pistol grip is stock.
Yeah.
And what they made that too, one of the reasons is, you know, this has that slapstick.
Right.
And it's a T-handle.
Right.
So you can remove the T-handle and put this in. It looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels good.
Well, you see why insurance premium is so high on these cars.
Oh,
you put your foot in, you're just you're waving down the road.
Oh, yeah.
No traction control, no stability, no anti-lock, no. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, the real advance has been in car safety.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, kids would die at 25-mile-an-hour accidents.
Absolutely.
You know? Bang a pole or something. Now I go down the freeway, I see a SUV and a ball, and a kid with a cell phone, Daddy, can you come get me? You know, so.
Right. You know, you put the kid in the package tray and go on down the road, you know. That was the way it was, you know.
And this was your seatbelt.
That's it. That's it.
Like
Yeah.
That's it. Hit the brakes.
That's it.
Yeah, it was your seatbelt.
I had a 64 Malibu wagon.
Oh, right.
A two-door.
Nice car.
Yeah. So my oldest daughter, who's 50 now, she was here and talking about, you know, the arm thing. So the car's dead, and she was probably, I don't know, I want to say maybe 2 years old, and I have to push the car to get it going. It's automatic. You got to get it going fast enough so it would engage. So I told my wife, I said, now, when I honk the horn, okay, I'm going to let you go. Well, I honk the horn and she's flying down the road, but all of a sudden there's a stop sign. Jams on the brakes. The kid rolls up underneath here. Didn't hurt her, thank God. Right. But that's the kind of stuff you did.
Yeah.
You know.
It's crazy.
Not saying that it's right, but
no.
That's a life, you know.
Yeah.
This is
probably on its best day gets about what, 15 miles per gallon, 16?
Well, it all depends, like anything, you know, how you drive.
Yeah.
And you're not putting your foot in it and you're driving normal, probably I'd say about 12.
Yeah.
You know, I remember cruising. I lived in Venice, which you know where that is. A buddy of mine had a 50 Merc. Then you could take the car to a body shop and get the headlights Frenched for 35 bucks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And, you know, gas was 17, 18 cents.
Yeah.
And we could chip in a quarter each, 4 guys in the car. That's $1.
I just think that's pretty good, isn't it? As long as you're not paying for the gas, it's fantastic. Yeah. Back in the day, when you were teaching, did you ever think you'd see it like it is now, cars with 800, 900 horsepower from the factory?
No. The Dart that I have with the Hemi in it on the dyno put out about 642 horsepower. You're looking at about 35 grand in this motor.
Right.
Dan buys this new Challenger, 392, hot motor. Oh, Dan says, what can we do to make it go a little better? Well, you know what? You buy a $200 chip, you stick it in there.
Yeah.
You just now picked up another 180 horse.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I bust my butt to build this motor.
I know. That's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
And now a guy comes along with this little thing that I plug in, and he's making more horsepower than I am.
It's funny.
It's, you know, it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, that yellow McLaren you saw in my shop.
Yes.
That's 903. It's 903 horsepower.
Wow.
Stock. I want to thank Dan for letting me borrow his car, and especially for letting me borrow his teacher, Vince. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, I am
it's a
really
real honor to meet you, and
Oh,
to
my
know
honor.
that, you know what you need to do? You need to have the guys videotape you and tell them all the stories and all the tips, because it's a great oral history. You know, a lot of times, you know, I think of all the greats, you know, that I've met over the years.
Yeah.
You know, the guys who were big in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s that are gone now. And I think, I wish I had taped them. So I'm glad we got this little bit, but well, I'm going to go back, I'm going to tell Dan to sit you down and spend a couple of hours and just tell the stories and give the performance tips.
I appreciate
and
that.
all those kind of things for the next generation. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Hey, this has been a pleasure. I mean, I couldn't enjoyed it more, and I like it when you put your foot in it.
Well, there you go. That's what we like. There you go. Thanks, Dan, and thanks, Vince, and we'll see you guys next week.
You bet.
Mm-hmm.